Hello and welcome to the live stream. I don't know that I've been broadcasting. I don't know. I'm back. Hey, it's Marcy. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. It's good to be back. During this last few days, I've moved from Seattle down to Los Angeles, where I am now. So I'm back in Hollywood, baby. Hollywood suburb. Hey, Dr. Howard, good to see you. Hi, Casey, good to see you. So I am functioning here with sort of a minimal setup. I thought I'd just say hi to you guys. It's been a busy, really messed up week. $1 in my pocket and $1 in my pocket, and it's kind of mixed just like you, mixed with XXX Galifianakis. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Oh well, yeah. Hey, Stephanie, how you doing? Good to see everybody. So we are back. I miss you too, Bev. And we're on broadcast. We got Kayleigh McEneny doing her thing. I have been driving and moving. Going the distance. Allison, good to see you. Driving and marking for of whom he still burns. He's socially distant. Needing to speed. You guys were all alone in your hour of need. So I thought I'd log in. I have to. I can't do this for long because I have to go in the swimming pool. Sorry, guys. Kevin Lee daughter's been begging me to go out swimming with her all day. We are house sitting right now for some wonderful friends. We're dog sitting, the Wonder Dog Safi, so there's a lot of dog working and a lot of mosquito bites involved. So, yes. That being said, this is kind of like the first break I've taken, this swimming. It'll be the first time I've swum since, God, what did we leave? Monday morning, 6 a.m. Monday morning, drove all the way till 2:30 in the morning to get to Los Angeles because you don't want to stop and stay at a hotel during these trying times because nobody wants leprosy. But I took my hydroxytheramine and I should be fine. Let's get going with this. Let's see who's here. Blah, blah, blah. I think I've said hi to everybody that I can see. For those of you watching at home, usually I'm a little more organized, and this is going to be an ad hoc version of the live stream. I've just got, I'm missing a monitor. I'm missing some of the components I usually have. I'm missing lots of little gadgets and like the converter for the HDMI cable to the teleportation machine. Some of the stuff I have, some of the stuff I don't have. But the key thing to remember is hockey starts tomorrow. And that's the important thing. So let's get going with this thing. Hope everybody's well. Does anybody have any big news to announce in the meantime?
Hey everyone, we're going to begin with some...
I'm hearing an echo right away, so let me see. I don't know if it's my settings or just C-SPAN. Let me go further. Maybe they fix it. Hold on. Yeah, they fix it. So that's a C-SPAN thing, not on my end. If my volume's too low, too high, whatever, let me know, guys, because this is a completely new setup. I'm literally in a different state of mind. Let's go back to KK and press play. It's going. Okay. We're waiting. There we go. That's Mark Meadows.
Good morning. As you know, over the last several days, we've been having conversations on Capitol Hill, Secretary Mnuchin and myself, with Democrat and Republican leaders, both in the House and the Senate. Last night, we concluded a meeting with Senator Schumer and Speaker Pelosi a little bit before 10 o'clock. And at the President's direction, we have made no less than 4 different offers to Democrats on Capitol Hill on how we can make sure that the enhanced unemployment that is set to expire today, along with eviction protection that is set to expire as well, is protected. And those 4 different offers have been actually rejected. But more importantly than that, they've not even been countered with a proposal. So
they are counter proposals. The Democrats already passed in the House, 208 votes, the HEROES Act. May 12th? It's more than 2 months ago now, 2.5 months ago now. And these are counter proposers. Let's move on.
Democrats are certainly
No, this is iced tea. I make iced tea. This is not a Long Island iced tea. This is let's call it a Whittier Narrows iced tea. But it's the only iced tea the only tea they have here is like a spicy orange thing, so it's got a little bit of a kick to it. But I was choking on the tea, which is delicious, by the way. I'm not complaining. And I mix it with the pool water so that I feel like I'm at a resort.
Willing today to allow some of the...
Yeah, somebody pick a drinking word. If it's Friday afternoon, it's Friday afternoon. It's actually almost Friday evening. Friday evening for some of you. Pick a drinking word, guys. What do we got here? Proposal. They're talking about the... God, I'm sorry, guys. After I drive for 20 hours in a row or whatever it is, my brain is fried for like a week. And it's a constant battle to catch up. I call it woggy. So I feel woggy for days upon end until I finally catch up. Well, hopefully will be tomorrow or the next day. But like I said, hockey starts tomorrow, so it's the hydroxy. That's the effect of the hydroxy. That's right. So the drinking words, ballots. Okay, so ballots. Let's talk. Ballots will be the drinking word. I don't know how much they're going to talk about ballots, but that's a good one. Let's just say ballots or election.
American citizens who are...
Oh, even better. We're going to get hammered. Dr. Howard, Democrats. The drinking word is Democrats.
Struggling the most under this pandemic to go unprotected. And the president has been very clear for us to be aggressive.
So just to get this straight, the Democrats already passed let's extend the unemployment benefits and let's send out stimulus checks more than 2 months ago. The Republicans want to take that $600 a week that I finally ended up getting after 134 days. They want to take that $600 supplement to unemployment and cut it down to $200, but it's the Democrats that want to hurt the American people. Who falls for this?
And forward-leaning to make sure that they get protected. And yet what we're seeing is politics as usual from Democrats up on Capitol Hill. It surprises me that when we talk about compassion and caring about those that truly are in need, that a temporary solution to make sure that unemployment, enhanced unemployment, continues, has been rejected not once but multiple times. The Democrats believe that they have all the cards on their side, and they're willing to play those cards at the expense of those that are hurting. And we'll continue on with additional discussions today with Senator
drinking word is Democrats.
Senator Schumer and Speaker Pelosi. Perhaps an in-person meeting tomorrow on Capitol Hill as we stay engaged. But I'm disappointed in what we've experienced over the last 3 days, and I want to stress that the Democrats have made 0 offers over the last 3 days. 0. And so in a spirit...
And they passed a bill 2.5 months ago, but 0 offers in the last 3 days. Okay. Well, I'm really hungry. I need some bread for my family. Here is some poop. You're not making a counteroffer.
Of compromise. The president has sent us back not once, not twice, but 3 different times to try to find some common ground. And what we found from our Democrat negotiators is that they are bumping the price higher than the very bill that they passed out of the House several weeks ago.
There, he even mentions the bill. He gives it away.
And to give you a particular example of that is in their hero.
The Democrats don't want to help the American people. Now, in the bill they passed 2.5 months ago to help the American
Heroes bill, they have $100 billion for schools.
The heroes, this is what I'm saying.
Matched that offer and actually put forth a proposal for $105 billion for schools for K through 12 and higher institutions.
How dare they?
What did they say to that?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, that was 2 months ago. We want to increase the amount of money that we send to schools to...
How dare the Democrats increase the amount of money being sent to schools that are now being told that they have to open in the fall after the disease has begun to spike, and we now have 4.5 million cases in the country. How dare the those I'm never voting for the demon rats again.
$400 billion. We're going in the wrong direction. They're going in the wrong direction because of partisan politics. It is very disappointing.
So disappointing.
So we call on Capitol Hill to get
what?
serious about their negotiations.
Serious about it.
Serious about the negotiations. We're willing to engage.
Great. Sign the bill. Vote on the fucking Heroes Bill and pass it. Problem solved.
You know, Leader McConnell yesterday put forth a 1-week extension at the
it's
current
been
levels for
1 week since a quarantine.
And what did we see? Senator Schumer objected to that. So there's no clearer message that the American people should receive other than the fact that the Democrats are willing to play politics at a critical time in our nation's very dire circumstances as we deal with this pandemic. So I wanted to give you that brief update so that you could have it straight from the negotiations.
Yeah, so if you guys haven't heard, study the kids at a camp in Georgia, a summer camp where they weren't observing the social distancing that they were supposed to be observing all the time. If you don't do it all the time, it's not really worth it. It doesn't really have the effect you want it to have. Anyway, 600 kids. Half the kids there ended up getting tested because some of the campers got sick. Teenagers got sick. But these were kids of all ages. I'm sure not infants, but you know what I'm saying. A camp age kids. And like half of them got sick. Well, I think half of them got tested. A little over half of them got tested. Somebody can do the research if you want to. But I don't know the rules on that, Bev. I think that when I say the drinking word, people smoke some weed. I don't know. Everyone's got their own thing going on. So, So it spreads in kids. We know this. We've known this. They don't die as often as grandpa. We know that. But they do get the disease. It's coronavirus. Their immune systems aren't developed enough to attack the virus the same way that our immune systems are.
As they've happened over the last 3 days, and as we work, I'm gonna turn it over to the.
Hi, Mom. Good to see you. Sorry, yeah. Sometimes I do say that word. Usually I say pucking, but in that case I said the F word, which is fuck. In case there was some confusion there, Bev. Can she hear you typing? Because you can just spell it out if you're typing, because she can't hear you typing, Bev. Unless she's reading this too. If you're in the chat room, Mom, welcome to the chat room.
Press secretary, and I think she's prepared to answer all the questions.
Liability insurance, is that a red line for you guys? McConnell said it was.
Thank you, guys.
I think she'll address that.
I'll take your questions in just a moment. The chief has to run to a meeting. But earlier this week, I just wanted to start off with an overview of what we've been doing on COVID. President Trump visited the great state of North Carolina to highlight the important work being done.
Wow. She knows where her bread is buttered. Earlier this week, I just wanted to talk about what we've been doing on the president and his leadership. Not we, not the administration. Credit must be given to dear leader. Well, she corrected herself. Hold on.
Week, I just wanted to start off with an overview of what we've been doing on COVID. President Trump visited the great state of North Carolina to highlight the important work being done as part of Operation Warp Speed. And thanks to President Trump's leadership, the Trump administration has made substantial investments, including investing in...
Reading it right off, they write this stuff down. She's reading it right out of the binder. What we've been doing, the president, rather, has been doing on the... Great leadership, dear leader. This is just propaganda.
Multiple vaccine candidates, with several entering phase 3 clinical trials, including AstraZeneca, Moderna, and Pfizer, providing financial infrastructure for mass manufacturing of potential.
By the way, I was listening as I was unpacking boxes this morning. I was listening to the was it the House Oversight? Must have been, and one of the Congress people pointed out that it was the Obama administration that gave Moderna millions of dollars to get them jump-started back in 2009, 2010, which is why they're able to produce this vaccine now. But we have to credit specifically Donald Trump for his Bold leadership.
Vaccines, guaranteeing doses of a vaccine will be available for distribution shortly after approval. The race for a coronavirus vaccine is truly moving at warp speed under President Trump. In addition, President Trump is leading on therapeutics. Over 140 clinical trials are now underway. Remdesivir.
President Trump is leading on therapeutics. What does that mean? Yes, we have many therapies coming out for the worst pandemic since 1917. But how is the president leading on that? Thank you, President Trump, for your therapies. Who believes that?
Dexamethasone convalescent.
Yes, I did hear Jordan attack Dr. Fauci. If I had been up and running this whole week, I would have been 24/7 doing this, because at least nothing's happened this week. We got a lot of stuff to cover, so I'm going to try and broadcast maybe the weekend as well. Again, there's many boxes, and I still haven't found 64% of my stuff.
Plasma and monoclonal antibody treatments. Yesterday, President Trump visited the American Red Cross.
Well, I'm glad someone's enjoying it, Bev.
Headquarters to hold a roundtable on donating plasma. This initiative will empower Americans to help their fellow Americans in battling the virus. These critical investments.
Do you suppose Louis Gohmert will be donating plasma? By the way, I have long called Louis Gohmert as the dumbest congressperson. So now he has it. So you can go back on Twitter and you can find, I think it was Molly Jong Fast was saying that somebody else, and I forget who it was at this point. I was like, no. That, whoever it was at the time, said something dumb. And the Republican congressman, even Democratic congressmen congresspeople say things that are dumb from time to time. Everyone does. But I was like, yeah, that's like Mount McKinley, but Gohmert is the Rockies. You have to look at the length and the height of his overall dumbness, and his dumbosity knows no bounds.
In a coronavirus vaccine are due to the fact that we have a businessman and
I want Walter White's plasma too. So I was walking into a hardware store in, let's just say, somewhere in the Hollywood area, and Bryan Cranston walked in the other way. I've never worked with Bryan Cranston. But the weird thing was, after watching years and years of Malcolm in the Middle and Breaking Bad, thank you. I've worked with a lot of celebrities. I'm not name dropping. I've never worked with Brian, or Bry as I call him. So he walks in, and it's a hardware store. So the guys in a hardware store you're in a very guy world. And yes, that's sexist to say. There was only guys in there, okay? So and it's just a small hardware, so it's not a Home Depot or whatever. He's walking in, and I look up, and we make eye contact, and we do that guy thing that's sort of like, hey, there's no verbiage or whatever. And I swear to God, I almost said, hey, Walter, because that's how familiar I am with him, and that's how much he is Walter White in my mind, which to me is impressive on his part. To me, good acting is when I can be in a movie theater, and the way I watch movies is I'm watching the technicalities all the time. Like, how do they make the car do this or whatever, and I'm looking for things in the mirrors and windows and reflections and stuff like that, and I'm thinking about the script and where's this going, and I'm analyzing it the whole time. When I can sit there and only for 2 or 3 seconds forget that I'm watching a movie, that's good acting. And Brian consistently nails that over and over and over again. And I wanted to say, hey, Walter. But he looked at me like there's an acknowledgement sort of thing, like, oh, I'm a guy, you're a guy, we're here at the hardware store. Hey, good luck with that toilet, or whatever it was. And why Bryan Cranston is going to a hardware store, I have no idea. Probably just getting changed so he could park his Bentley. No, from all reports, he seems like a very good guy. You know what we should do? We should watch his... he did a 50th birthday with, I think, Jimmy Kimmel. They had a 50th birthday party, and it's hilarious. We'll watch that someday together. Not today, though. Let's keep moving.
in the White House. And according to the Wall Street Journal, quote,
Hey, Linda.
Democrats blame the U.S. case surge on inadequate testing and contact tracing, but the U.S. has averaged 2 to 3 times more tests per capita than most European and Asian countries.
Not true.
Indeed, we've done more than 59 million tests, with India at number 2.
Russia is number 2 at 29 million the last time I checked. I haven't checked all week.
With just about 14 million tests.
Actually, no, sorry. Correction. Fact check me. We're number 2. China's number 1 with over 100 million tests now.
So quite a difference there.
Yeah.
Arizona, California, Florida, and Texas all were doing more tests per capita when they lifted their
I think it might be called, we're going to do a chat session in the morning, and we'll call it Cafefe with Kevin.
lockdowns, more per capita than Germany, Spain, France, and South Korea have averaged. The U.S. is the undisputed world leader in testing, and on top of the more than 59 million tests.
And the world leader in deaths and cases, by far. By far. It's not even close. But let's keep bragging about those tests.
That we've done.
So she says, the Democrats think, oh, by the way, Democrats, the Democrats keep saying we can solve things with testing, and then she brags about how much testing we've done. Kind of proving their point, Kayleigh.
The FDA has authorized more than 193 tests under emergency use authorizations, including molecular and antibody tests, under the leadership of President.
Okay, so the emergency use authorization for the authorization of those tests, antibody or PCR or antigen or whatever, all the different things you can test for, they're not, the authorization is just, yeah, go ahead. They don't have time to test them and make sure they're actually effective. There was a 60 Minutes episode a couple of weeks, it's got to be about a month ago now. It could be 10 years ago. It's Trump time. Where there was a small town in Texas who spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. I want to say 600,000. I could be way off. Who cares? They spent all the taxpayer money on these antibody tests, and they turned out to be completely ineffective. And as soon as they got them, because they couldn't get the regular tests, this is back in the days when you couldn't get the regular tests, which was yesterday, they got the tests, and the local doctors started doing the randomized testing just to see if it was effective. And I was like, maybe this is a bad batch. And he took the next. No, it's like there's a half the time you're going to get the wrong results out of this thing. So yeah, so all that authorization is basically the FDA just said, yeah, go ahead, we're out of it, do your thing, just whatever we can do at this point, which is good. It's actually good, but somebody should be testing these tests.
And Trump, the U.S. is leading the world in safe and effective.
Yeah, shut up. The real EUA, emergency use authorization, would be everybody. We need a bunch of people testing these right now. Pass it in a week. Get this thing out of here. That would be an actual use.
Therapeutics and the rapid development of a potential vaccine. Together as one American people, we will defeat the invisible enemy. And
my mother was a Lutheran minister, so, holy rollers run in my family.
With that, I will take questions.
Oh, good.
Kayleigh, thank you.
Paula! Oh! This is Paula from CBS, I'm assuming. I don't know any other Paulas in the White House Correspondents Association. Let's go.
Comments about how it's Democrats who won't compromise. Democrats came up with a
Democrats.
plan 2 months ago. The Republican plan was just presented on Monday, and in that time...
Thank you! This is why we love Paula, because she asks the questions that serious, smart people ask.
And the president has contradicted the Republican plan on the amount of stimulus checks. On
Bev, I'm assuming you're living with mom and dad right now, or you're getting tested every time you go over there. I don't know.
Student loans. Mitch McConnell threw you guys under the bus on funding for the FBI building. What do
Yep.
you say to the tens of millions of people who are going to lose their benefits when it appears that the real issue is that Republicans cannot agree among themselves, even though they've had months?
That's not it at all. In fact, Democrats offered a $3 trillion plan. We have a very specific focus right now, and it's not this comprehensive plan, whether it be the HEROES Act the Democrats proposed that was unserious, or the HEALS Act. That narrow focus is this.
The HEALS Act was that a mistake, or are they actually calling it the HEALS Act, the First Responders Act?
That Americans are about to lose their unemployment comprehensive plan. Not
Let's
it
go
at
back.
all. In fact, Democrats offered a $3 trillion plan. We have a very specific focus right now, and it's not this comprehensive plan, whether it be the HEROES.
So she's against the comprehensive plan.
Act the Democrats proposed that was unserious, or the HEALS Act. That narrow focus is this, that Americans are about to lose their unemployment insurance, and this White House, this chief of staff, this president, this secretary of the Treasury have offered several iterations to make sure that Americans who through no fault of their own lost their jobs during this pandemic do not also lose these checks. We've made several proposals, as Mark Meadows just said to you. And how many proposals have the Democrats made? Zero. And
all with many, many, many strings attached. There's no clean bill, which is what would pass. If the Republicans were serious about this, if Mitch McConnell in the Senate was serious about helping American families with the unemployment stimulus or with a stimulus check, that's not an unemployment stimulus, although technically it is. So anyway, they would pass what's known as a clean bill. Just, here's $600 for everybody. Let's just get this in the books. Boom. Pass it. Boom. The House pass. Probably don't even have to go to conference. Just get it to the president's desk. President, give out the pens, and we're done. That could be done. That's not what's happening.
If you want to know where the Democrats' true intentions lie, look no further than the Martha McSally bill that was presented that would have extended the $600 unemployment insurance. It was rejected by Chuck Schumer, and that was a plan that the president was willing to endorse.
Kayleigh, what do you say to those that are going to lose $600 a week in unemployment payments that need that money? And also, why didn't you start negotiating earlier, and why only the offer of an extension of 1 week?
Yeah, remember? 2 weeks ago, they were on vacation. They all went home. Could have been negotiating then. You can use phone calls. You can use Zoom. I've been doing Zooms.
Well, what I would say to them is that this is unacceptable, that the Democrats have been fundamentally unserious. And
Democrats.
You just heard the chief of staff say a great example of that is they had this massive $3 trillion bill that called
this comprehensive bill that you just spoke of, yes.
For $100 billion in school funding. We then gave $105 billion, which then was deemed insufficient. So if Democrats were interested in extending unemployment insurance and helping the American people, they would have endorsed the Martha McSally bill and extended this by a week to give us time as we try to extend this in perpetuity, while we also focus on evictions as well.
What do you say to those Americans?
Nobody voted on the Martha McSally bill. It was not brought up for a vote by Mitch McConnell, so there's nothing to reject.
Americans that are about to lose $600 a week.
That they need to be calling the offices of Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and say, get to work and stop engaging in politics on the backs of
Again, Nancy Pelosi, not in the Senate. She has, until the bill gets to the House, Nancy Pelosi has no control over it whatsoever. She can't filibuster. She's Speaker of the House, not the Senate. But they will attack Pelosi. And I said this months ago that she will become the boogeyman. She already is. Okay, boogie person for the GOP because she has very low ratings amongst Republican voters.
Hardworking Americans who deserve these checks, who lost their jobs through no fault of their own.
Are you willing to pass on the liability protection?
That's a question for Mitch McConnell. He said that that's going to be a part of any bill, but that's Mitch McConnell's, that's his priority.
A lot of people have taken staycations, Lords.
This president is
very few Democrats are actually traveling anywhere for a vacation.
Very keenly focused on unemployment insurance, and the Martha McSally bill is a great example of what Democrats are focused on. Yes.
There is there's no vote on the Martha McSally bill. It's not something that can be rejected.
So worried about how long it'll take to count ballots in the election, then why isn't the president and this White House doing everything it can to secure more funding for staffing and other resources to make sure that we can have a safe and proper election?
Good question.
What this White House is focused on is making sure that our election is not riddled with voting fraud and that the timetable is not hung up here. There are several lawsuits that the campaign is engaged on, and I would point you to the campaign for specifics
that doesn't answer my question, though. My question is, what is the White House doing to get more resources for funding and staff to make sure, as the president says, that it will be a secure and safe election?
Well, as you know, Peter, states run their elections, and it is up to states to make sure that they have
Right, and the states are asking for more money.
But what this White House is focused on is ensuring that...
Oh, by the way, the CARES Act that was passed 2.5 months ago, that has additional money for the states in order to do the elections because we are in an unprecedented time.
what Jeffrey Toobin has said over at the New Yorker, CNN contributor, notably, New York's primary vote count chaos signals trouble for November. And as he noted, you want to talk about the president, but Jeffrey Toobin himself, Democrats control the state government of New York. They are responsible for creating the fiasco that is unfolding now, and that is certain to get worse in November. States need to get their acts together when it comes to elections. And as we see in New York, where we're 5 weeks out from that election, and in fact, we still don't know the outcome of a congressional race, and that is certainly not what we want to see.
And I'm asking you about...
Yeah, and remember just the primary in Georgia. They just had an election, and it was a fiasco, and people were waiting in line all day in 100-degree heat in the humidity in Georgia. It's not a Republican or Democrat thing. They need money to make the elections work. That's how elections cost money. You know what doesn't cost as much money? Voting by mail, which is why Colorado, Oregon, Utah, Hawaii, Washington, they've all switched to vote by mail for everything, and it works great. And the rate of fraud is much lower.
The president. You asked why I was asking about the president. I'm asking about the president because you work for the president. I guess the question is specific.
Thank you, Kayleigh. Race, and that's certainly not what we want to see.
And I'm asking you about the president. You asked why.
Yeah. What can the president do in order to increase the funds for the states? Right, but I'm talking about the president because you work for the president. OAN. OMG.
I was asking about the president. I'm asking about the president because you work for the president. I guess the question is more specific.
Thank you, Kayleigh.
OAN.
The president's meeting this morning in a few minutes with the National Association of Police Organizations.
I just want Peter to keep talking. Why don't the reporters just keep talking? Because all the reporters end up in the same situation eventually. There's one or two. I think Newsmax is in the mix somewhere. There's another... Wall Street Journal sometimes has somebody in there that's sort of on the fence. But why don't the reporters just keep talking until they get an answer? And I wish the reporters, every once in a while they do this, they will say, I'm going to defer to Caitlin's question. A follow-up on case, they get their question, and then OAN will never follow up on another question. This will be some attack on the Democrats. And how did President Trump, dear leader, do this?
2008, 2012, they supported Barack Obama and Joe Biden. In 2016, they didn't support either candidate. And now
did they cut the mic?
National Association of Police Organizations.
I don't think so. It's an overhead mic. It's a shotgun mic, so I don't think they actually cut the mic. OAN's always way in the back because, of course, they're not officially in the White House Correspondents Association anymore because they refuse to wear masks.
President, because you work for the president. I guess the question is more specific.
Thank you, Kayleigh.
No, he stopped talking. They didn't cut the mic.
So the president's meeting this morning in a few minutes with the National Association of Police Organizations.
Oh, I see what you're saying. At this time, yes, they do. They have cut the mic off before, yes. Or they just, if the president, he just walks out. I hate this house.
Organizations in 2008, 2012, they supported Barack Obama and Joe Biden. In 2016, they didn't support either candidate, and now in 2020, they're endorsing President Trump. To what does the White House attribute this change in support? Well, it's clearly a change in the Democrat Party.
Democratic.
Jen, when you look at the polling on defunding the police, ABC News, Ipsos poll, 64% oppose defunding the police.
Biden opposes defunding the police.
Huffington Post, 57% oppose. Rasmussen, 59% oppose. But make no mistakes, Democrats want to defund.
Make no mistakes. She literally says, make no mistakes.
4% oppose defunding the police. Huffington Post, 57% oppose. Rasmussen, 59% oppose. But make no mistakes, Democrats want to defund our law enforcement. And it comes at a time.
Our law enforcement. Has anyone ever heard the expression make no mistakes? It's make no mistake. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
Where 64% of Americans say they are concerned that growing criticism of America's police will lead to a shortage of police officers and reduce public safety in the community where they live. The American people have seen very clearly where the Democrat Party of today stands. It's at an unacceptable place, and I think that this administration has shown great respect for our law enforcement, who every day are out there defending and protecting our streets in Democrat-run cities that have
democratically
abundantly chaotic because of their lack of support and respect for law enforcement.
So I was in Seattle. I drove through Portland. Neither of them abundantly chaotic. Abundantly chaotic.
Darlene.
Can you explain why the White House did not counter with a comprehensive plan of its own? You said the White House was focused on two things.
Thank you, Darlene.
Unemployment insurance and
Yeah.
emissions. Why not have a more comprehensive proposal to counter what the Democrats have put on the table?
So I've walked through at this podium the more comprehensive plan that this White House was hoping to see, and our priorities like tax rebates, unemployment benefits, enhanced hiring and retention payroll credits, workplace tax credits, restaurant donations, and others. Those are all part of the HEALS Act. So there is a comprehensive plan that was put forward.
Oh, the HEALS Act. They're calling that the HEALS Act. The one where the corporations get credit for taking people out to restaurants. Tax credits. Write-offs. That's what Trump. Remember, we watched. Some of you were here when we watched the Trump roundtable with the restaurant owners, where their owners were like, "Hey, we really need that PPP to be extended over 12 weeks instead of just 8, and also if we could use that to pay some of our bills besides just the employees, because our restaurants are going to go away, and we'd really, oh yeah, you guys, you know what you need is like a tax credit for corporate. What's that called? The corporate write-off." He keeps calling it something too, and I forget, the words escape me at this time. But yes, so there is a HEALS Act apparently, and it's got this thing. But it makes no difference to Trump because he's passing executive orders now and calling them bills, so he has no idea how anything works.
By Republicans on the Hill with several White House priorities in it, but right now.
It's on the. That's why we haven't heard about it, because it's on the Hill where the Republicans are in the minority, so it means nothing.
At this day, at this moment, our focus is making
Deductions. Thank you, Dr. Howard.
sure that Americans who have lost their jobs get their paychecks. It's why, as you heard the Chief of Staff say,
Well, Americans who've lost their job can't get a paycheck. They don't have fucking jobs, Kayleigh. It's called socialism. It's called my own money, but it is not a paycheck. It is an unemployment check.
we've made 4 proposals. Democrats have made precisely 0.
They passed a bill.
Is the White House still behind that?
The president still supports General Tata. Yes.
Kayleigh, so is there anything that you agree with on the Democrats after all these negotiations? Are there any points of unity so far?
Well, look, they've presented 0 plans. So we've presented 4, they've presented 0. So
except for the bill that you guys have referred to several times, you know, the comprehensive one.
We agree with them. It seems that they don't agree with us. The White House supports unemployment insurance benefits. The White House supports ensuring Americans don't get evicted. But what do the Democrats support? What do they stand for? So far, they've offered...
Look in the bill. Look in the fucking bill, Kelly. It's in there.
0, nothing, except rejecting Martha McSally's bill to ensure that those who are receiving those checks continue receiving them.
Is there an upper limit to that?
There hasn't been a new book in the Bible since who knows when. So how do we know what the Christians support? We don't know what they believe.
Is there an upper limit, Kayleigh, for the amount that you're willing to go to? Has the White House decided on some sort of a cap for how much you're willing to spend this round?
Not that I'm aware of. The president has said, he wants to make sure money gets to the American people. Yes.
The Trump administration wants $377 million in the coronavirus relief bill for the long-delayed modernization of the West Wing. How is that a priority in terms of the coronavirus pandemic? You guys talk about priorities. You had the FBI bill, which doesn't seem to have much support from Capitol Hill as well.
So 2 things, and I'm glad.
Thank you. So Trump wanted an FBI building, a brand new FBI building built, which is right by the Trump Hotel in Washington, which would then boost sales at his hotel. So and McConnell said, no, we're not doing that. So that's part of the Republicans can't even agree with themselves to come up with a bill. That's what's going on. That's why we don't have an extension to the unemployment benefits that we're supposed to have right now. And then, as the reporter pointed out here, there's other issues as well. That they want to use the White House wants to use a bunch of the money in this proposal to fix up the West Wing, the East Wing or the West Wing, whatever it was, which, that's important, but doesn't necessarily have to be part of this Corona bill. But it's just, that's the problem, is that we don't have clean bills in Washington. Somebody should run on, we need to have limited bills so that this bill is about this bill is about that. Don't cram it all in. Don't pork barrel all this legislation together so that, yes, I would like children to have food. At the same time, I'm not in favor of putting swastikas on all the school buses. Like, it's all jammed together, and if you And a lot of these bills are just put out there so that you can attack your opponent. It's amazing the number of bills that are proposed, especially when you're in power in the House, that are strictly proposed that you know they're not going to pass, but you want your opponent to vote against them. So, yeah, Martha McSally hates American families. She voted against the Families Act 14 times. It's politics.
Pandemic, you guys talk about priorities. You had the FBI bill, which doesn't seem to have much support from Capitol Hill as well.
So two things, and I'm glad you asked that because I do want to give you some details about those two items in particular. When it comes to the FBI building, this has been a long discussed issue. I would note that the 3 previous COVID bills that have been passed had plenty of other things in them that weren't.
Oh, yeah, and for those of you who don't know, I'm not a Democrat or a Democratic. I'm not a Repub or a Republican. I'm an independent. And I've lived in countries where there are more than 2 parties. The things work much better. No matter what, it's black or white in this country, and that's all there is to it. And lately, that's literally black or white issues.
Not related to COVID. One of those examples is the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund. This is not a red line for us. It was a part of.
By the way, off topic today, although it might come up later, but the Trump tweet about the suburbs. Oh my God, political suicide for anybody else in the history of politics. Okay, the post-1950s history of politics. We'll talk about that some other time.
The initial bill, but it is.
We still haven't still haven't finished the Chris Wallace interview from 2 Sundays ago. Oh boy, it's too much, guys. I'm going to say man.
Certainly not a red line. The priority, as I've said several times so far, is unemployment insurance, making sure Americans do not get evicted. And then as it pertains to white.
If they were priorities, they would be passed. The Democrats want $600 for unemployment. The Democrats want the eviction pause passed on. Simple. Just, here you go. This saves. They've done it before, too. Every time there's with spending limit, we're up against a spending bump or something. Just pass it. Just clean bill. It can be done. They're refusing to do it. This is entirely on the Republicans.
House renovations. Many of those pertain to safety protocols, filtration systems, enhanced communication ability, and needs that we saw that were highlighted during the pandemic. But make no mistake, at 370.
There, she just said it properly. Make no mistake. Earlier was a mistake.
$7 million proposal will not stand in the way of ensuring that the American people get their checks. That is the priority, ensuring that Americans do not get evicted. That is our number 1, number 2 goals.
Yes. Thank you, Kayleigh. I just wanted to confirm reports that Mark Meadows actually made an offer to extend unemployment insurance by 4 months.
I haven't spoken to him on that precise proposal, but as he's mentioned, there were.
Priority number 1. Extending the unemployment. Well, I haven't spoken to him on the proposal. Fuck off.
4 that were made.
Maybe a follow-up.
Sorry, Mom, if you're still listening, but come on. And I don't usually swear. I'm not a swearer guy. But come on. That is our number 1 priority, and those are number 1, number 2, that evictions and unemployment. Well, we have a question about the unemployment. Well, I haven't spoken to him about that.
Question then. I want to change gears and talk to you about Twitter. We reported yesterday that the Israeli government wrote to Twitter's CEO asking him to remove tweets from Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, calling for the genocide of the Israeli people. The company refused to do that because they said that the tweets were, quote, comments on current affairs. I'm wondering if the White House has a response, given that Twitter has recently begun restricting the president's own tweets for glorifying violence, quote, glorifying violence and spreading misinformation, and if you have spoken to the president about any further action perhaps he's taking on social media companies.
Yeah, it's a great question, Ebony. I did see that New York Post story, and I thought it was very eye-opening, and it tells you where these social media companies stand, where they're not willing to assess the Ayatollah Khomeini's tweets, but they are willing to assess President Trump's tweets. It's really appalling, and it just speaks to their overwhelming, blinding.
They did assess the Ayatollah's and they did assess the president's tweet. They did, by definition, assess them.
bias against conservatives and against this president, and we are taking action. The administration is submitting a petition to the FCC for proposed regulatory changes to hold social media companies accountable for their censorship. And this petition that was previously reported on earlier in the week asked the FCC to end the loophole that allows social media companies to escape civil lawsuits for their own speech, fact checks, and deplatforming. And the petition seeks to expose social media companies to liability as a speaker or a publisher if they act as editors of content on their platforms or remove lawful speech based on politics. And very good work by the New York.
So in that case, everybody should just be able to post nudes and gay porn and kiddie porn on all the sites, because if you edit the sites at all, then you're a publisher.
Post and highlighting that.
David, thoughts on that?
Issue. Yes.
Thanks. Can I follow up on Darlene's question on Tata for a minute? You said that the administration is still behind him, but are you guys considering putting him in an acting role?
I have no personnel announcements other to say than the president still supports him.
Can I just one follow-up?
Yes, thank you. It's been a month since there were reports of Russian bounties upon American military forces, and yet the White House has done nothing to push back on Putin. What is the delay?
So as I've answered probably a dozen times from this podium, that intelligence is unverified. There are dissenting opinions. The media is, I would point to the Department of Defense saying there's no corroborating evidence to validate recent allegations, NSC allegations in recent press.
You know what you could do? You could ask Putin about it.
Articles have not been verified or substantiated by the intelligence community, and ODNI.
Thank you. Yes, David with Snopes pointed out that the reason that the current law, what everyone's calling 230, which allows the platforms to exist and to censor content, because A, they are in the public forum, they don't publish content, they don't write their own content necessarily, but if they see something offensive to the general public, for example, kiddie porn, they are able to take that down. Or factually incorrect information about a pandemic, they take that down. And my phone's making noise.
As a similar statement, but look, this president acts. He is not afraid to stand up to Russia. He's done so repeatedly when our adversaries have directly targeted U.S. or coalition partners. The president did not hesitate to act. Look at Syria in 2018 when dozens of Russian mercenaries were killed in a retaliatory defensive strike. He has continually stood up to Russia, will continue to do so, and this president will always protect our troops and our men and women overseas, and he will act on verified intelligence. Bill.
Thank you, ma'am. So Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Utah, and Washington all have automatic mail-in ballot systems. The White House has made its position clear on absentee ballots and also the concern over these universal systems. You know, does the White House think that those elections are fraudulent or more at risk of fraud?
Always a mail-in ballot system, mass mail-out ballots are going to be more at risk of fraud. Look at LA County, where 112% of LA County is registered. That means you have 12% of excess ballots floating around that are, we know, at least 12% that are.
Guys, I'm going to pause just for a second because I want to hear what she's saying here, but I've also got Kayleigh daughter on the phone, so I've got to deal with that very quickly. So give me a second. Be quiet. Talk amongst yourself. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, sorry about that. Let's go back because he was talking about LA.
This is you have ballot system, mass mail-out ballots.
Here we go.
Are going to be more at risk of fraud. Look at LA County, where
LA County. I'm in LA County right now, by the way.
Percent of LA County is registered. That means you have 12% of excess ballots.
Actually, not anymore, because a lawsuit was filed by, what is it, the Justice Group or whatever they are. What's his face? That doesn't matter. Anyway, he blocked me on the Twitters. Tom Finton, I think his name is. So the lawsuit was about the LA County has a list of inactive voters. If you don't vote after 2 elections, they just stop sending you stuff, which makes sense. And if you die and you don't tell them, well, you're dead. So LA County has because they used taxpayer dollars to clean up the rolls, they had to contact all these people who were dead, and if they didn't hear from them. Anyway, David's saying something here, but hold, I've got to read this because otherwise it'll chat and go away and then I can't do it. If you hold a platform's moderated material posted to it that makes the platform a publisher, yes, liability for user content, then platforms would have no incentive to remove offending material. Yes. So if you're not allowed to take material off and you become a publisher, then now you're liable for anything that's get printed on the site. It's a huge issue, and there's reasons it was passed in the first place, and it makes sense. And anybody can get censored off of Twitter. I've been shadow banned from Twitter. I've had my account suspended from Twitter. I'm certainly not right wing. Anyway, dead people don't vote. Dead people do very, very little, as a matter of fact. They lie down, they decompose. That's about it. But we had to pay a bunch of LA taxpayer money. My money went into cleaning the voter rolls to prevent voter fraud because people who are dead don't vote. Now, in this the mass sending of mails, they're not sending out ballots to people who haven't voted in the past 2 elections. There are inactive voters, and among those people, many people will be dead, or many people have moved away. As I did a couple of months ago, when I moved to Seattle, I registered in Seattle. I hadn't told LA yet. As far as LA County knows, I'm still here as well. So they will send a ballot out to me. That ballot will not be voted with because I'm not going to get it. Now I'm back. Actually, all I have to do is change my address. But yes, and I have to tell King County that I'm not there anymore up in Seattle. But nobody does that. Who does that? Who moves and then contacts the old county and says, by the way, take me off my list? They just, after a couple of elections, they become inactive and they don't get their ballots anymore. Maybe 3 elections, maybe 4 elections, however many cycles the state or the county decides. But yes, you can have 112% of a population registered because you don't waste your time cleaning off the dead people. They don't mean anything. They're not fraud.
Floating around we know at least 12% that are not accurate ballots that were mailed out. This is
No, they weren't mailed out. They were not mailed out.
Very basic concept.
It is a very basic concept, and you can't grasp it.
And it's one that the media has done a very good job reporting on, not just Jeffrey Toobin at the New Yorker. You also had the Washington Post article on this that the president held up yesterday that says the results that they've seen in a study showed that there's an unexpected stress test of mail balloting systems, many of which were designed to handle only a small portion of the vote and are not ready to scale up in response to a pandemic. That was Washington Post. There was another.
Boy, what would help them scale up in order to handle the election and not delay the results by weeks, possibly years, as the president said yesterday? Like it's going to take years. And if anyone should want the results of the election delayed for years, it's President Trump. You think he'd be behind this 100%. But yeah, money. Send the states money for this.
Their great ABC piece, mail-in voting delays in primary cause Pennsylvania to sound alarm about November. Expansion of mail-in voting will likely delay the state's presidential race. A great CBS report. Pennsylvania's mail-in votes still weren't all tallied up after 1 week. Officials fear election nightmare in November. So mass mail-in voting is certainly subject to fraud and good work.
That's not fraud. They're 2 different things, not fraud.
On the part of ABC, CBS, Washington Post.
I don't know at random if that's what you're saying or not, but yeah, mail delays and fraud, completely different subjects.
Highlighting the fraud that is at play, the delays that are at play, because
delays and fraud are 2 different things.
Those are, after all, the facts.
Another quick one. The chief sounded quite frustrated a second ago. Is there any situation in which the White House would walk away from negotiations on Phase 4?
I won't get into the middle of the negotiations, and I'll leave that to the chief and to the Secretary of Treasury. But yeah, there's a lot of passion because we're passionate about making sure Americans are taken care of. I've heard the president personally talk about this. It is his goal to make sure that those who have lost their job get these payments, and those who, through no fault of their own, do not get evicted from their homes. So those, again, two big priorities for the president. Raquel?
Yes, thank you, Kayleigh, so much. I have two questions. One, you were here saying that how well the administration is doing is responding to the pandemic, but the facts don't show that, and Americans are struggling and scared. What do you tell them, the American people?
So the one thing I would say is the president's made clear that we're at a place where we want all Americans to make sure that they socially distance and that they make sure they engage in mitigation tactics. And the president's been clear on that. But you know, one of the things I think, when you look at the United States response, you look at the fact that we were supposed to have a ventilator shortage. In fact, we had a ventilator surplus. We were told that there's a testing shortage. Well, it turns out we've done at this point almost 60
There was a testing shortage. There still is a testing shortage. Not enough.
million tests.
60 million is nowhere near enough. We're a country of 330 was a surging pandemic. More than 1% of our population are known to have the disease. More than 10% probably have it because we don't test enough.
This president led on the development of remdesivir. We just saw this week.
No, the development of remdesivir was done years ago. It was for Ebola. Fuck! I'm sorry, Mom. I am, but...
Promising signs from convalescent plasma. Our therapeutics...
Convalescent plasma has been used since the 1800s.
Are advanced. I would argue...
Could be the 1900s. No, I think it's the late 1800s that they started using convalescent plasma.
The best in the world. And that's why when you look at, in particular, at the case fatality rate, which the president...
So, I'm actually interested in this. Somebody do fact check me on that. Find out when the theory and the first initial convalescent plasma treatments started being used. Because they've done this before, and historically it's... somebody looked that up.
The president often talks about. You see that tells a big story when the U.S. case fatality rate is at 3.4%. The world's...
HIV, thank you. Not Ebola. No, remdesivir... Are you sure about that? Dr. Howard, fact check yourself. You could be right. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Is at 4% averaged, in the EU at 9.7%. That is a testament to our therapeutics. But we encourage every American to engage in mitigation efforts.
That is a testament to the number of tests we're doing. That's how that works. That's something you can run with.
And it's patriotic, as the president said, to wear a mask, especially when you can't socially distance. Hunter.
By the way, I just, in my running around today, I did see the president in Florida, on the ground, on the tarmac, talking to people without masks, not wearing a mask, not socially distancing, according to the camera, and doing a lot of this on his face thing that he does.
Hunter. A travel ban.
Yes, there is a movement growing called Love is Not...
Here we go, at random. First viral trial was done in 1892 with diphtheria using blood serum initially. Yeah, okay, so, 1800s.
Tourism. They are families and couples separate for a month because of the travel ban. Couples who couldn't be together.
By the way, I've been taking hydroxychloroquine now for 3 weeks, and I still have no signs of diphtheria, so take that to the bank.
Whether on their childbirth or mothers and sons who are separated during illness. They are asking if the administration could consider a waiver in their cases.
I haven't spoken to the president about those specific cases, but this president will always put America first. This president put in place the travel bans to protect American lives, and they've done that. Dr. Fauci acknowledging that the travel bans have saved American lives, and that is our goal at this moment. Hunter.
Thank you, Kayleigh. Two quick questions for you. Herman Cain passed away yesterday, and obviously he had tested positive for COVID 9 days after attending the president's rally in Tulsa. Officials there have connected the rally to a spike in cases. Is there any concern that Herman Cain may have contracted coronavirus at the president's rally? And is the task force doing any follow-up to track other potential cases from that event?
Look, Herman Cain is the absolute embodiment of the American dream. We are grieved and we are very saddened by his passing. He was raised in Atlanta, Georgia, on a small farm. He left with just the clothes on his back. His mother was a housekeeper, and he rose to be an extremely successful businessman and someone who was who contended for the nomination of
Hey,
our
producer
party.
Joanna.
And I would refer you to a post on Herman Cain's website, and he says, I realize, or his website rather, I realize people will speculate about the Tulsa rally, but Herman did a lot of traveling the past week. I don't think there's any way to trace this to one specific contact that caused the infection. We'll never know. So that, and I will not politicize Herman.
No, we'll never know for sure, but we do know that several people at the rally, perhaps hundreds who attended the rally, did test positive for the virus, and we do know that Herman Cain was there, not wearing a mask and not social distancing.
Cain's passing, and I would just note the great contributions he's made to our society. We'll always remember him, and his legacy will stand.
And then just a follow-up on another point. Obviously, the president's tweet yesterday seemed to float the idea of delaying the election. He later said, he supports no date change whatsoever. Given a little bit of the ambiguity and confusion there, can you just state unequivocally whether or not the White House wants to see the date changed and state 100% that that is not something that you support?
The president answered this 3 times yesterday. He said, I want the date more than anyone. I don't want to delay. I want to have the election. And in a local interview he said, no one wants the date of the election more than me, because he believes November 3rd will be a moment where the American people acknowledge the great.
Today he says he wishes the election was sooner. I'm all for it. Let's do it. Let's do it tomorrow.
Successes of this administration. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Does the president support the Chinese-backed Hong Kong government in delaying their elections?
Yeah, so I do have an answer for you on the Hong Kong elections. We condemn the Hong Kong government's decision to postpone for 1 year its legislative council elections and to disqualify opposition candidates. This action undermines the democratic processes and freedoms that have underpinned Hong Kong's prosperity, and this is only the most recent in a growing list of broken promises by Beijing, which promised autonomy and freedoms to the Hong Kong people until 2047 in the Sino-British Joint Declaration. I think it's appropriate, as we see this play out on the Hill, this testimony by our doctors, to just acknowledge the real successes and work of this administration. I acknowledge the ventilators, and I talked about testing and just great American industry.
Joanna, you've missed it. She's acknowledged the ventilation several times in the dress. So we did talk about the dress. Oh, that's right. Producer Joanna is our fashion consultant. So yes, several people have commented on the ventilation in the dress. And if you'd bothered to show up on time, Producer Joanna, you would have known that. Let that be a lesson.
Together, the American people coming together and working to get us through this tragic pandemic. And we grieve when even one life is lost. But I do want to point out just the early actions of this administration. When there were 0 reported cases in the United States on January 6th, the CDC issued Wuhan travel notice before any U.S. confirmed cases. But what were Pelosi and Chuck Schumer doing? They were calling on the GOP to support Bolton testifying. 0 reported cases in the United States on January.
Wow. The CDC, by the way, the CDC screwed up the test, which is why we have 100 X number of thousands dead. But while they were saying, hey, be careful, there's a pandemic coming, they didn't even say that. They just said there's this unknown respiratory illness. Don't travel to Wuhan. That's what the CDC was doing at the same time. She's saying while they were doing that, the Democrats were calling on Bolton to testify. What? Okay. Their job.
17th, the CDC implements public health entry screenings at 3 major U.S. airports receiving the greatest volume of Wuhan passengers. What were Democrats doing? Oh, House Democrats were preparing to file their first brief in the sham impeachment inquiry when there was 1 reported case in the United States on January 24th.
I don't think that timeline is correct. I think they're way off with this.
First CDC-activated emergency operations center. What were Democrats doing? Oh, Chuck Schumer was calling for witnesses.
She's reading that. What were Democrats doing? Oh, Chuck Schumer. She wrote down O in her book. Okay, read it, but be natural with us. This is the worst. She is not making me forget that I'm watching a movie right now.
One reported case in the United States on January 21st, CDC activated Emergency Operations Center. What were Democrats doing? Oh, Chuck Schumer was calling for witnesses in the impeachment trial, and Pelosi released a statement.
This is the worst table read I've ever been to.
Criticizing Mitch McConnell for his trial rules. And finally, when there was...
Right. Remember, the GOP in an impeachment case did not allow witnesses. In an impeachment case, no witnesses. Now, they want to call in 53 witnesses on Obamagate. But during an impeachment trial, the GOP wanted to call no witnesses in a court case. Senate case, but court case. No witnesses. But yeah, this is why... What is she doing? That didn't kill any Americans. I guarantee not having John Bolton testify or buying his book or not buying his book killed no Americans. I promise you.
7 reported cases in the United States. On January 31st, President Trump issued travel restrictions on China and the first mandatory quarantine in more than 50 years. And those travel restrictions saved American lives. But what were Democrats doing?
Yeah, Robert, that was terrible. You're absolutely right, Robert. By the way, that's Cuomo. But he was doing it also on the recommendations of the federal government. So, yes, but both bad.
Pelosi was introducing.
So I will not be voting for Cuomo for president. Thank you for pointing that out, Robert.
The No Ban Act, which would have imposed undue limitations on the president's authority to restrict entry of aliens into the United States. And what are Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi doing now?
None of this has anything to do with the virus.
And it's despicable, and it's time for them to come to the negotiating table.
Nancy Pelosi is not in the Senate. Nancy Pelosi is not blocking anything.
Thank you very much.
Oh, this was the binder drop. This was it. Okay. Well, that was that, kids. No, the trial didn't end up getting finished until what was about February 6th, I think. The trial completely wrapped up. February 4th, February 6th, something like that. Is this satire? Yeah, this administration is satire. What did you miss, Stat Manton? Everything and nothing. But we did hear about how the Democrats upset that we didn't have witnesses in an impeachment trial caused 150,000 Americans to die. So, and how they don't want that. What we've learned today is the Democrats do not want the American people to receive any of the money that they passed a bill on 2.5 months ago so that the American people would get the money and the states would get money for the elections and the hospitals would get the money for the PPE in case the infection got worse again and there was a spike in coronavirus cases. This is in May 12th, I think. Thereabouts. Sometime back then. Somebody can look it up if they want to. Yeah, is Corey a troll? What's going on? I don't even know. All right, Marcy, I assume that in a normal admin there are protocols that would have been activated in January. Yeah, no, there was a playbook. There was a playbook, but it was on paper and it wasn't in a binder. So you can't expect them to pay any attention. Normally, guys, I'd play you the video clips of that. I don't have them right now because I can't. But I will get this all set up. Orders have been made, and I feel stupid. The little dongle thing I have to replace. It's somewhere. And here's the way it works. When you move and you can't find something like a stud finder or whatever it is, go ahead and make a joke. Producer Joanna, I said stud finder. That when you order something or you go pick it up at the Home Depot and they throw it in your trunk because you're doing curbside or whatever, then you know as soon as you plug it in, unwrap it, plug it in, get it working and stuff like that, within 5 minutes you're going to find it underneath an article of clothing in a box. That's the way that works. Yeah, no, they did. They did a table exercise. You're absolutely right. At Random is correct. They did a table exercise with the Trump administration, how to react in a pandemic, and the people in the Trump administration totally got everything wrong. And so the purpose of the exercise was to say, no, that's not what you would do. And then when it came about, when an actual pandemic started happening in January, the Trump administration did exactly what they weren't supposed to do all over again after having done the table read. Plus, the turnover in this administration is just mind-boggling. You can't have consistent, you can't learn anything if the people doing the learning get fired. I did say dongle. Enjoy. That's what she said. Yeah, there it is. Good job, producer Joanna. I used to bring stud finders to bars and take the batteries out. It was fun. Did you actually do that, Allison? Because that's pretty clever. What you want there, though, is if you're using a stud finder for a joke in a bar and the guy doesn't know what the stud finder is, move along. That's all I'm saying. Move along. Although, that might be the kind of guy that you're looking for, too. And that's great. Whatever works in this crazy, wacky world, if you can find somebody to tolerate you or toleride you, in Trump's case, then go for it. Yeah, and it was different. Thank you, at Random. It was different people who did the exact same wrong thing at the table read compared to the people doing the exact same wrong thing in January, because I think this was September of last year. Might have been 2017. Whatever it was, they failed, and now they're failing again because stupid people do stupid. That's how it works. Oh, okay. You really did that? That's awesome. I would have, if it was me, I would have been like, you know what? You need new batteries. Hold on. If I had my dad jacket that I wear to hockey games, it's full of all kinds of neat stuff. I think I have one around somewhere. It's fun looking in the jackets and finding stuff. Your hair. You are hair, Joanna. What? Okay. Anyway, kids. Kayleigh daughter's running around and dealing with. She's buying tickets to a concert that was supposed to happen and has now been postponed until July. And I'm like, don't even bother. But you know what? Maybe by July it can happen. I hope so. I absolutely hope so. We have no guarantee. We are all hair, Allison. You're absolutely right. Anyway, so that was, she needed the code to the reset, to the Ticket Bastards code, to the all the other thing anyway, so she was getting in the way there. And now I do have to go participate in the watching of the dog and the swimming in the pool. So hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. The next couple of weeks I got a lot of unpacking to do. I'm hoping to get all the connections so I have access to the files that I like to have so I can play those with you guys. Well, thank you, Bev. I'm glad your mom had a good time. Say hello to your dad playing his organ, and maybe that's more information than anyone needs to know. So just knock on the bedroom door and says, Heavenly Father says, enjoy your organ. And we will talk to you guys later. So maybe tomorrow, again, the NHL, the hockey is starting tomorrow. By the way, if you haven't seen this, let me pull this up. This was trending on Twitter's earlier today. Hold on, guys. Again, I apologize. I'm not in my regular location. This is something, by the way. Yes, flights were somewhat quelled from China. No, foreign nationals were not allowed in from China. But if they were from Hong Kong or Macau, it was fine. So 10,000 of those people came in, and then another 40,000 to 400,000 other people came in. So, hey, we stopped the flights. Great. Did it work? No, 157,000 dead. I mean, so that's something. Come on, computers, do your thing. There we go. Let's go to the Twitters because I want to share this with you guys. It's interesting. Here's every fucking thing is politicized. Sorry, Mom. Nowadays. Oh, I got a message. Hold on, because trending, show more. I want to show you guys this. Here it is. So NHL fans are posting photos of themselves kneeling after players remain standing during the national anthems. If you watched a little bit of the NBA action yesterday or the day before, whenever they started, could have been 3 years ago, it's Trump time, Remind me to talk to you guys about unemployment as well. Let me pull this up. Sorry, I'm dealing with a minimal amount of screens here. So NHL players and Kayleigh daughter made me go and look for NHL sweaters, so we're going to post ourselves as well. The NHL players linked arms, and they've got the hashtag #WeSkate4. And there are many minority players. Just about every team in the NHL has at least one black player on it, which is very different than it was 20 years ago, and certainly 40 to 60 years ago when Willie McRae was the first black NHL player. The point is, they didn't kneel. The NBA went nuts with it. Everybody was kneeling. Everybody was playing with players' names or sayings on the back. It was actually, and that Black Lives Matter was painted on the courts. I'm not sure what the right word for it was. It was thought-provoking. It was, I don't know if it was inspirational. It was, certainly they were, I want to say branding the message, but that's not, branding is such a dirty word nowadays that I don't want to get into it. No, we can't do Billy Joel Madness. I'm not getting into that right now. We're in the Final Four, but we'll get to it. I will get to that, I promise, producer Joanna. Anyway, so what fans are doing, because the NHL players didn't kneel down, they linked arms. They've got, I think they've got Black Lives Matter. They've got some sort of crest on their helmets. We'll see all of this tomorrow. They had one exhibition game per team, but we'll see all of this tomorrow when they play. A lot of NHL fans are taking pictures of themselves kneeling. Oh, here, this is what they did right here. Let's see if I can blow this up. I think I can display close up so that you guys can see it. No, I can't. Display only. Nope, sorry. Again, hopefully you guys can see that. You can look up yourself. So there's the players linking arms from different teams. Producer Rich isn't here, and he's the sponsor of Billy Joel Madness. Thank you. That's exactly why I'm not doing it, Stephanie. Good. Thank you for backing me up on that. Here's the problem. Fucking Eric Trump. Again, I'm not a swear, but Eric Trump. Fucking Eric Trump that's literally his first name. He praised them. Thank you, NHL, for standing during the national anthem. You're on skates, and yes, you can kneel on skates. These guys can go down and back up again in a half a second. I should show you guys that Connor McDavid goal. So this is kind of cool. So hockey fans are posting themselves. Here's a cool one. This is Anne-Marie Dion. She looks familiar, but she's got a sweater that says, we call them hockey sweaters. You can call them hockey jerseys if you want to. Women's Pro Hockey Seattle. So I'm sure I've played against her at some point. She looks familiar. Anne-Marie, hi, if I know you. The funny thing is when you play hockey, because you're wearing a mask all the time or a full visor or whatever, you see people walking back and forth the arena. I don't know if I've ever played hockey with Anne-Marie Dion or seen her at the games. It's a very small hockey community in Seattle. It'll get much bigger because now they've got the Kraken. I don't know that I know Anne-Marie, but hi, Anne-Marie, if I do. You look very familiar. I could have had conversations with Anne-Marie. Quick story, and I'll leave you with this as a feel-good story for Friday. After I had playing hockey in 2016, right after the election, I had a heart attack on the ice, and I didn't know about it. I didn't realize it was a heart attack. Happened in the first 10 seconds of a game. I have video, and I'll share that at some point. And then I finished the game because, hockey, having a heart attack. I finished the hockey game. And we won, so that's the important part. That was the takeaway from that game. But after I had the heart attack, it took me about 3 months of rehabilitation to get back to playing hockey. And when I did come back, I was absolutely overwhelmed by the number of people who came up to me that I may have played with once before. Maybe they were a parent on a team of one of my kids. Seattle's a small city. But the number of people that came up to me and said, "Hey, how are you? I heard you had a heart attack." That I put up on Facebook. It wasn't national news, wasn't Seattle news that I'd had a heart attack. But the number of people who just came up and talked with me and were glad to see that I was still alive. And that was very touching to realize that there's all these human beings out there, and even though we may not express to each other on a regular basis that we do care about each other, complete strangers, we do. There are those of us, and I'd like to believe some of us in the chat room, certainly not Chris Wilson, but he's not here, care about our fellow human beings. And I was very touched by that. People that, like this Anne Marie here, that I don't know if I know her, but she looks familiar, and it's kind of a weird photo taken with a wide-angle lens. That I care about Anne Marie. I like that she's kneeling, and she obviously cares about other human beings because she's kneeling. It's a symbol. I like it. Good job, Anne Marie. So anyway, have a great weekend. I'm going to hopefully see you guys tomorrow and Sunday. There's all sorts of nonstop news here. Excuse me. Anyway, it was very nice to know that other human beings actually care about me as a human being, as I would certainly care about them. And that's to be expected. That's hold on. I'm using the green screen. See, it looks black. I'm gone. I don't know. It's just a story. I'm hoping, and I will be posting, I did dig up some hockey jerseys, so we'll be posting, Kevin Lee Daughter and myself, posting ourselves kneeling in our hockey jerseys to support what I call Black Lives Matter 2. And that is a branding problem. It shouldn't be Black Lives Matter. It should be Black Lives Matter 2 as well. Then you can't have the All Lives Matter. Because Black Lives Matter 2. Oh. Okay, so next time you hear, so there's one more thing. Number one, anytime all lives, well, what about all lives? What about life? Yeah, no, they matter too. All we're saying is Black Lives Matter as well. So let's start treating Black lives as if they matter. It's not a big ask. Here's a human being, one of whom with you may play hockey. That's almost Englishy. Thank you, Bev. Thank you. I just closed that window. Damn it, guys. I'm sorry. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Joanna. We know you care, even though you don't bother to show up on fucking time. Thank you, Stephanie. And then anyone else who said something nice during that, let's call it a creed. Unemployment. So, let me pull this. I was looking this up because people are saying stupid things. So here we go. Sorry, guys. Not my regular... I'm really trying. I'm going to start crying again. Okay. Plus, I'm doing this all left-handed because of the stupid injury. But I moved and it worked out. This is the stupidest thing. Maybe not all 50 states have this, but here is the argument. If you pay people $600 a week in addition to their unemployment, then they will just say, I'm never going to work again. And they're just going to refuse to go to work. And that's what, well, if you pay these people. So I literally tweeted something in response because I've been trying to catch up on Twitter every once in a while. I haven't had a lot of time. You haven't seen many tweets from me. By the way, if you don't follow me on Twitter, @KevinLeeFather. Enjoy. If you will see people on the Twitters saying, well, if you're getting that money, then people will refuse to work. Here's the deal. If you refuse to work, right there. This is the state of Washington, but California has to do, most states have this. You can't be on unemployment and refuse to work. If you refuse to work, you stop getting the money. Problem solved. A lot of businesses, if they were getting PPP, or they got the PPP, which is the government subsidy, the socialism, saying pay your employees this so they don't have to be on unemployment, which is just, it's just taking money out of another basket. But anyway, and it's a good thing because it's the federal basket, which has a lot of eggs in it, and the state basket only has very few eggs, and can't handle the number of unemployment that Trump has caused. Just the next time you see someone with that argument, be like, why? And look up your state as well, wherever you are, and just unemployment, refusal to accept work or whatever, and you can link them to that and say, no, they can't. It makes no fucking sense. Sorry, Bev's mom, but it doesn't. It's just ridiculous arguments. Plus, as At Random pointed out a few sessions ago, we're calling these sessions now. And your time is up. We'll see you next week. If the richest man on the planet, Jeff Bezos, if his Amazon workers are refusing to come back to work because they're getting $600 a week, then guess what? Maybe those workers are not making enough money at their own job. If $600 a week is too much and they can live like a king, how about we actually have a livable wage standard in this country? 99% of 1% of the Jeff Bezos. I think that's a good stopping point. Anyway, guys, hockey starts tomorrow. That's good news. I am safe. Kayleigh daughter is safe. Hopefully all of you are safe. It's been a pleasure getting back to this. And my hair is completely unsafe. I have nothing to say about that. We will see you guys, I'm hoping tomorrow. Maybe in between breaks. There's like 1,000 hockey games tomorrow, and it's awesome. So, maybe we should watch some hockey together. If anyone's interested in watching hockey together, send me a DM, and maybe we can Zoom hockey or something. I don't know. I don't know if I can broadcast the NHL over this, because I'm sure I'm going to get tagged for that, because NFL, NHL, etc., if you rebroadcast in whole or in part without written consent of the NFL, I will get nailed for that, and I don't want that, because then I can't do this. And who wants to be shadow banned? Okay, she says, hey, Mom. So to Bev's mom and everybody else watching tonight, have a safe night. Have a great weekend if we don't talk. And to everybody watching who's not in the chat room, God bless you all and stay safe. And we'll have some... God damn it, Producer Joanna. We talked about coffee with Kayleigh Father earlier. Oh my God, she's got a South African accent. Tell your mom I lived in Swaziland. I love the country and most of the people of South Africa as well. So we'll talk about that with Bev Mums. We'll do coffee with Bev's mom sometime. You guys enjoy the hockey tomorrow. We'll talk to you then. This is one of my 40-minute goodbye. As bothers at random so much. Later, Allison. See you later, Bev, Stephanie, everybody out there in chat room, window, people watching. Yeah, I am all out of words. I'm still so woggy from my 24-hour day on Monday. You don't make promises you can't keep, Producer Joanna. You're all great. Love